Welcome to Optimove Connect 2025. I'm Ross, and today we're diving into gamification. What it really means, why it works, and how it's shaping the future of marketing and customer engagement. Joining me are two experts in the space. Kalev, founder of Adact, and now leading Optimove's gamified solution division.
Hi, that is who I am.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. And Ben, the Director of Product Marketing at Optimove. Welcome, Kalev and Ben.
Thank you, excited to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So guys, today we're going to be breaking down gamification beyond just points and rewards and exploring the psychology behind engagement and looking at what's next for this fast-growing space. Are you ready to get involved?
Let's do it.
Been involved for 15 years.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's start with the big news. Adact is now part of Optimove. Kalev, what excites you most about this acquisition?
Yes, so first of all, I'm a very product-oriented person, right? So I love building great products. And of course, the exciting part is now that I've been learning about the Optimove's products suite, then you can see that it's also built like a very product-driven approach to get as many functionalities and like very usable functionalities. So I first of all really like the symbiosis between, but second of all, which is more important, that doing gamification in a really effective and kind of profitable and great way requires a lot of data and requires a lot of personalized data. Now, this is not something that we as a very small team could have achieved within the next 5-10 years, probably. But now kind of having the jump start to actually putting all of my knowledge in terms of what I believe works in gamification and testing it with like huge amount of data and kind of showing that it works. I do believe that it works. That is definitely one of the most exciting parts, to actually get the kind of field experience in a larger scale than we could have previously.
Well, thanks for that. Gamification has been growing rapidly. Ben, from your perspective, why do you think it's so effective in marketing?
I think any moment where we can engage a player and extend that experience, we see results in. And I think, we know that players' will go to other games and other operators very quickly now. And we see that, being able to engage somebody over a period of time keeps them motivated, right? Whether it be earning a badge or another level, or playing a mini game or a leaderboard, for instance. We see that those moments of engagement that drive the next engagement are the ones that are the most exciting, and I think the ones that keep players around and playing the games the longest.
Brilliant. So just going on that a little bit, a lot of people think gamification is just loyalty programs, right? But it has evolved significantly. Kalev, how do you see it being used in a more advanced way?
Yeah, I mean, loyalty programs, like when you're looking specific, like airline programs is a very common example, like started from the 1980s or something. And actually loyalty programs where you will be exchanging like bronze coins for kind of stamps or something. It was like all the way into like start of the 19th century. So the concept has always been a very much transactional concept. For the past 200 years, it's always do something and then get a reward for that, and that's where it is, right? Yeah. And that's a very common way of doing loyalty programs. But I would say like starting from like 2015, approximately like there, then people started to realize that it's not only about transaction. Right? It's more about the entire enjoyment and the engagement. It's not about just exchanging, like if you do that one action that I want you to do, I will give you a cookie, right? So we're more, expected to have enjoyments of the activities that we do. As Ben mentioned as well, it's so easy to now switch to another provider, or it's so easy to kind of switch to another person that just gives you a better reward, right? And once you get into the loop of now competing over the better rewards, then it will exponentially get out of hand, right? So if the only thing you can provide is a more valuable reward, then at the end of the day, you run out of the reasonable rewards to give. So you have to look at something else. You have to start looking at kind of motivating people not only to focus on the end result, but to enjoy the process. And that is what gamification is. It's the entire game design and why people like to play games for an extended period of time is that they enjoy the process, right? And once the game finishes, then then it's the sad part, right? You would rather play it for longer. So that's the thing that we want to include with this gamification approach.
That's why when I get into it, I'm up until 4 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the concept, like very simplified, is like if you're able to play a game until 4 a.m. in the morning, and you will take the same science or same reasons and then convert those reasons into another context, would that mean that you will be able to play the game, like play in your platform for 4 a.m. in the morning? Of course, it's not exactly going to work like that. You have a little bit of a different field, but there is a lot of knowledge to take out from understanding why would you play it until the 4 in the morning. I don't know if you know why are you playing it until the 4 in the morning.
Well, that brings me on to something actually. Going off what you've just said there, it's extremely complex, but do you ever put yourself in the mind of a player and the entertainment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that we experience gamification in our everyday lives. We don't always call it that. We don't always recognize it. Understanding player behavior, being players ourselves in many situations, gives us that understanding of what gets you motivated, what keeps you playing, what keeps me playing. And those engagements, like incentivize, being aware of that, I think is a really important aspect of the human experience when it comes to understanding gamification.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thanks for that. When you look at the impact of gamification, how does it influence key business metrics like retention, loyalty, and customer lifetime value?
So, I mean, make no mistakes, loyalty programs work really well, right? Loyalty programs today, as they are, they do an excellent job in increasing those metrics and everything. But basically, the short answer is it's a numbers game, right? The more someone is engaged with you, like per hours or minutes or how they want to measure it, the more likely is that they will want to engage further, right? So basically, very simplified way, as long as you introduce more interaction points, then you increase the probability of someone doing either the purchases or gaming or whichever. So it all kind of blends together into this one large machine of just kind of focusing on all these key metrics. What we see is for one gameplay, for example, one free-to-play game that is using gamification, it lasts for around 60 seconds. That's my kind of proposition or suggestion as well. Don't have it more than 60 and 90 seconds. And then on average, a person plays it like 38 times, right? So you put that engagement out there, and now you have the attention of a person for 38 minutes, right? Now, this 38 minutes does convert into, of course, very hard to translate into additional this brand awareness. The idea that if you're thinking about any brand, then you're probably thinking about that brand that you just spent over 30 minutes engaging with. And the second thing that I want to say is, once you progress into a gamification system, like you have those levels and badges and everything, you are much less likely to leave the platform, right? Because if you would leave, then loss aversion comes in, right? You will now lose all the progress that you made. And people don't want to lose progress, right? So you're invested into that progress, which means that the only logical and simple way, it's much easier to continue playing a game than to start playing a game, right? So while you're like inside that gamified system, then you're just more probable to keep at it.
Let's talk a bit about AI. So Ben, Optimove is known for its AI-driven approach. How does AI, in your experience, enhance gamified experiences and personalization?
Yeah, so I think AI really helps the whole player experience. And AI helps us look at all the data. I think Kalev mentioned this beginning, like gamified experiences generate data. We already have a lot of player data as is. AI helps us understand through that. So I think that it really helps with personalization is if we look at the holistic player experience, who are they? What did they play before? What is the new game that we may want to promote or the new sporting event that we may want to engage them with? Looking at all of that data is beyond human scale. And that's where we think about AI orchestration and personalization. Now you add gamification into that, right? It's no longer just an email or a message on the website, it's an engagement mechanism. So you combine that holistic player journey on all these different touch points, all of their different experiences with what Kalev is talking about, the game moments, those times spent, you get a really interesting personalized experience that you, again, can't do at a single human scale, but you need to do as an operator to drive those personalized moments and continue to drive that experience.
Brilliant. I mean, for brands that are new to gamification and don't know where to start, either of you, if you want to jump in, what would be your advice on this?
What I will say is a common mistake I've seen, not only from the gaming operators, but every company, doesn't matter you come from retail or whichever vertical, is you want to build and you want to have everything all at once, right? So you want to basically create a moment where right now we don't have anything, and then next day we will have literally everything, right? So the key of getting started and kind of tapping into understanding whether your audience is even kind of susceptible for those approaches is to just starting introducing small interactive moments one by one. So you don't initially just focus on any sort of interaction you can do with your audience. It can be as simple as, asking a couple of questions even, like, doing a small trivia game. Right. It doesn't have to be just automatically now we have all these points and levels. So this kind of gives you and eases you into understanding what your players and users kind of value. Do they even interact with those systems? Which game elements should you use and everything? So take it step by step and start with the key word, which is interaction. Just interact with your audience.
I would just add in as well, just start noticing it in your own life, right? Notice those gamified experiences that you see from brands, from operators that you interact with. You'll start to see it more and more. You'll say, why do I engage with this? Why am I playing this game for hours? Why do I keep coming back to this? Start thinking about that, and then you start to have the mindset, and you combine that with the interactivity. I think that that's a really impactful way to begin that journey of gamification.
I agree with you, because with you saying that now, I'm thinking about the brands that I use and play with, entertainment, I've been around the world using them, and immediately I know what I like and don't.
Right.
So that's a good one right there. So there's still a lot of misconceptions about gamification. Kalev, if you could debunk one myth, what would it be?
I will definitely have more than one myth to debunk. First of all, what's most important for me is I don't like when people question the gamification, not question, but explain gamification that it's kind of a manipulative trick, right? It's kind of like where gamification is about manipulating, for someone doing things that they otherwise wouldn't want to do, right? So this complete myth, in my opinion, because it is playing a game or participating in a gamification system. It is impossible to do it if you don't want to do it, because it's very simple. If you don't want to do it, close the game. Right?
So one of the myths is you're saying it's basically forcing me to play a game or put some money somewhere that I don't want to do.
Yeah, it's basically technique to make you do something that you otherwise wouldn't want to do. Like it's kind of manipulative tactic,
okay.
Right? So it's not a manipulative tactic. It's on the contrary, it's a way for you to enjoy the activity that you're doing. Because if you wouldn't enjoy, you wouldn't do it at all. You would just not participate. Right. And the second part, which also, it just requires a little bit of awareness, is it is not just about stamping points and badges to my system, and now the metrics go up, right? So it is a science. There are techniques, there are specific reasons why you want those points. You can ask a question like, should I give 10 points to someone for an action, or should I give 100 points? Or maybe I should give 1,000 points for the same action. So how do you make that decision? Right? So it does require more kind of awareness and thinking and design thinking than just, hey, let's put points to the system and now everything magically works, right? So these are the two things that I usually focus on.
That's really important. So let's talk about looking ahead. So that's my last question for you guys. And if there's anything you'd like to add, please go ahead. But what's next for gamification at Optimove? Where do you see the industry going in the next few years? What do you guys think?
I'll jump in. I think that it becomes more, we think about gamification as part of the whole experience, right? And so when we building on Adact and working with Kalev and the technology, it's important that we enable operators and brands and marketing teams to easily orchestrate these gamified experiences into the right moments, right? What games you prefer, what kind of experience you prefer, what drives that next experience, what excites you? And I think that we're just going to continue to see that momentum to a point where gamification becomes a native part of the player experience and not something that we talk about on the side, but something that we talk about as holistic.
Yeah, I would also add just what excites me the most as well is, for the better part of the last 10 years, if someone has wanted to include gamification, it always includes like massive integrations and basically building a new platform and like a huge amount of technical work. So where I see it going and what I want to build is the ease of access, right? So any company that decides that, hey, yes, I want to start using it, flip a switch, right? And then you have it, right? So it's the ease of accessibility and making the gamification just accessible to everybody. It's not as accessible yet, but hey, I'm working on it.
Anything else to add?
I love that ending of accessibility. That's
Yeah,
the goal.
That's the goal.
Gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining. You've been watching Optimove Connect 2025 on the Spotlight. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Thanks.
Cheers.